Okay, so we're going to talk about some of these things today. And if you're a religious person, if you're, in your Bible all the time, and you're going to learn something today about why this is and why it's important. Okay, and the relevance of the right. Okay, Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. And those of you who are not, good morning, Jay. Those of you who are not Bible people, okay, this pertains to you too. Okay, because the secret is here. The Bible is telling you the secret of this one, okay, the human being. It's like an owner's manual for the human being if you don't follow the story and if you follow the esoteric meaning or if you learn the esoteric meaning. Okay, so the power of the right side. I'm not going to read these verses, but like all of them, okay? But I'm going to go through them, okay? So, for example, Psalm 118:16, the right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord does valiantly. Okay, well, what do you think they're talking about? They're talking about the right hemisphere of the brain. Okay, Jesus sits at the right. Cast your net to the right. Okay, all of these references reference the right side, the right hemisphere of the brain. Why is that? Because that's where God lives. Okay, in you, in here. Okay, it's the right side. What's the right side? What are the functions of the right hemisphere of the brain? Connection. Okay, imagination. Okay, intuition. All of these things, the creativity. Okay, all of these things, right brain activity. Now, what's the left? Well, you have the ego on the left, which is why you have to cross over to the right. Okay, ego. You have mathematics, right? Logical thinking, that kind of thing. And that's right, left hemisphere thinking. Okay, so, and this is why, hey, Jeep Dude, good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. And this is why you need to cross over, okay? Because when you're stuck in logic, okay, this doesn't mean you have to be illogical. Okay, but when you're stuck in logic, it takes you away from manifestation. I'm here to I'm here to show you how to manifest the life of your dreams, or let's say it another way, the ideal things for you. Okay, for me, it was just following whatever it is I had fantasies about when I was a kid. And now when I put my name into a browser, I see all of those things that I've done. And I go, oh yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking about when I was a kid. When I was a kid, those things seemed impossible. Okay, I would sit alone by myself in this valley for hours, just by myself. And I would just imagine. It was sort of like I was watching my own movie and I was the star of my movie, okay? Now, you have a movie, you have an imagination, and you are the star of your movie. Your life is your movie. You are the director, you are the producer, you are the actor. You are all those things in your movie. You have your own, okay? So the question is, what are you imagining? Okay? Because this is visualization. Okay, and this is what I teach. This is what I teach my clients. I work with executives. And my executive clients are very much rooted in left brain activities because that's the way they're brought up through school. Okay? Through high school, through college, they get their degree. Okay, but they focus on logic. They focus on formulas. They focus on systems. They focus on those things, left brain activity. Okay, I pull them over to the right and I go, hey, look at this. Okay, so I have a business client, right, right now that I'm really proud of because he's starting to come around, right? He goes, oh, because he sees that when you walk towards something, the doors open and the right people come into play, okay? That's the activity that the superconscious does. But the superconscious works off the subconscious. Okay, so what it really is whatever's in your subconscious, the superconscious or God deals with that. Whatever your beliefs are. Okay, in the same manner, your conscious mind, right? In repetition, whatever idea you choose from your conscious mind goes into your subconscious mind. if you wish for something or pray for something or create an affirmation for something, and in your subconscious there's a conflict, okay, meaning there's, a thought there that's in fear, or let's say you doubt that you could do it, or you doubt that it'll happen, it's not going to happen. It's going to cancel it out. You have to be open. Okay, this is not magic. This is your subconscious. Okay, so anyway, I'm just going to read just the verses. Okay, Psalm 110:1 says, "Sit at my right hand." Okay, all this means is the right hemisphere of the brain. Go to the right hemisphere of your brain. Okay, so there's Exodus 15:6. There's Isaiah 41:10. Okay, Isaiah 41:10. Okay, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Okay, this does not mean a literal hand. Okay, it does not mean that. So Exodus 15:6. It goes on. Isaiah 41:10, Psalm 16:11. It just goes on and on. Ecclesiastes 10:2. A wise man's heart is at his right hand. What does that mean? It's talking about the right hemisphere of your brain. Okay? Because when your heart or your understanding or your subconscious, okay, works with the right hemisphere of your brain, it's all right hemisphere. Cast your net to the right. It's all right hemisphere. Okay, this is what the Bible's telling you. Why? Because that's where God is. That's where you make the connection. Okay, it's not the left. The left is your left reptilian brain, logic, all of those things, math, okay, concepts, logical concepts, all of those things. Matthew 25:33, Mark 16:19, Acts 7:55. It goes on. It goes on. Romans 8:34, Hebrews 1:3. Okay, and then of course John 21:6. Cast your net to the right. Okay, this is talking about the right hemisphere of your brain. Okay, it's not about politics. It's about the right hemisphere of your brain. Literally, that's where God lives. Okay, but when you move over from the left to the right, what happens? Well, when you move over from the left to the right, amazing things happen. Amazing things happen. Why is that? Because that's where creativity is. That's where creativity lives. That's where you get creativity from. Because you're a creator. You're a co-creator with God. Okay, now whether you call it God or source or universe or whatever you call it, okay, whatever you call your higher self, okay, infinite intelligence, however you believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. Okay, I believe what I believe and you believe what you believe. Okay, but whatever you call that, Jesus Christ, Allah, whatever, we're all the same in here. Human beings are all the same in here. We are awareness. But whatever you call that, okay, that's what opens the doors and brings the right people into play. But most people say it's a coincidence. I know people that believe in God or say that they believe in God. They go to church, right? They recite scripture, they memorize scripture. That's how hardcore they are, right? They memorize. Hi, Miss Sunshine, good morning. They memorize scripture, right? And then when something good happens, they go, oh, well, I got lucky. Oh, that was a coincidence. I met so-and-so and just so happens, right? That's the way they describe it. Just so happens, right? This happened. If you believe in God, or if whatever you call that, source, whatever you call it, okay, we are all connected. The first universal law is the law of divine oneness. They say it in the Bible a different way. Okay, we are all one. Okay, they say it in the Bible a different way. They say it in the Bhagavad Gita a different way. It's in the Torah. Okay, it's in the Quran. But however you look at that, we are all connected. Okay, but we are all connected through awareness. We are all one awareness. Okay, and then it goes a little deeper than that. In that one awareness, we all have a different perception according to your subconscious, according to what you believe. Okay? So what you believe to be true affects your manifestation, what you're bringing into your life. So look around you, okay? And this is why people say, trust your crazy ideas. I say it all the time. Trust your crazy ideas. It's a thing, okay? Because if you think small, you get small. If you think big, you get big. Okay, when I was 12 years old, I was thinking big. For example, in 2010, when I started my consultant company, right, VMAC Consultants, you can look it up. It's a thing. There's a website. There's work we've done on Instagram and Facebook. It's a thing. We started that in 2010. And when I started that, I consulted an MBA because this guy had a degree, right, in business. And so I sat down with him at a McDonald's and I was sharing with him what I wanted to do with this company and why I was doing this. And when I told him how I was going to go about this, he said, "You can't do that. That's not how it works." Right? Okay? And of course I was let down, right? I mean, at the table, when I was there, I was let down. And I was like, oh man, what do you mean I can't do this? And then I thought in my mind, like, this guy's right, because he has a degree, an MBA, right? He has a degree. He went to school for this stuff. So I was a little intimidated in the moment until it dawned on me on the way back to my office. As I was driving back to my office, I thought to myself, well, am I going to believe in man-made or God-made? Okay? Because you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy, that spirit that lives in here. And that's connected, okay, to God through the right hemisphere of your brain. And this is what all those Bible verses are directing you to. It's the right hemisphere of your brain. Because that's the creativity, okay? That's the co-creator power you have as a co-creator with God, okay? So you can create what you want. You can create something to serve you. You can create something to feed you. You can create something to bring you money or whatever it is you want to accomplish. All you need to know is what and why. The how is God's job. Okay? The how is always God's. Don't try to figure out how. That's a left brain action, trying to figure out how. Okay, there's so many people that have been hung up, right? Because they're like, well, I can't see how this is gonna work. Of course you can't see how it's gonna work. Okay? But if you trust in God, if you really believe in God, you go, okay. Right? The Christians say, let go and let God. Give it to God. That's what Christians say. Okay, and what they mean is, let God do it. Let God show you. Let God make the path for you. And as you take the steps, the doors open. As you take the steps, the right people come into play. And you may send an email out to somebody that you really didn't even think of sending an email to, and then boom, another door opens. Okay, because, right, you couldn't figure out the how. So as I was driving back to the office, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Because I got that thought, like, are you going to pay attention to the physical world or the spiritual world? Okay, the physical world is the college that this guy went to. Okay, the physical world is the college that gave this guy his diploma and his degree, right? And then that, and then he believes in that degree and diploma because he was there passing judgment on what I was telling him, And I'm not hating on the guy or anything. I'm just telling you what it is. And this becomes mammon. You cannot serve God and mammon kind of thing, okay? Because you're going to trust in the degree, you're going to trust in the college, you're going to trust, okay, this is the way to do it kind of thing, right? Okay? Then it becomes mammon. And I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to believe that. And so I went in here and I went back to the office and meditated it here. How do you do that? Close your eyes, close your distractors. These distract you into different realities. and just sit for 10 to 15 minutes and you receive the messages from your creator, whoever you believe that is. Okay, now if you're busy, like really busy every day, you're always busy, okay, it's going to take you a few times before you can connect because of the busyness, because of the busy thoughts, okay, because of your Thomas Michael, or is it Michelle? I'm a single father with a beautiful daughter from USA looking for a serious relationship. You're not going to find it here, Thomas. Okay, Jay, there you go. Anyway, okay, so the point of what I'm saying is when you rely on the right hemisphere of the brain, okay, that's where your creativity is. Get creative with your whatever you're creating, whatever you're doing. What is my perspective on prayer? It works. Prayer definitely works. But you have to be in the proper energy when you pray. A lot of people are in desperation when they pray. They're in a negative emotion, okay, when they pray. And you have to be in abundance when you pray, or happy when you pray. God doesn't listen to your words. God pays attention to your feelings. The Indian philosopher Shinakwa said, your feelings are your God. Okay? So feel good when you pray and give thanks first. Express gratitude first. Then say whatever it is your intention is. Then you ask. Ask, believe, receive is the formula. Okay, so in biblical symbolism, okay, the right represents authority, power, favor, and divine action. Sound familiar? It's the right hemisphere of the brain. Why? Well, because everything is related to the divine. Okay, that's where the Bible is talking about. It's talking about the divine. It's talking about God. Okay, authority, power, favor, and divine action. Okay, so you have to ask, okay, divine action, what's the authority? It's divine authority. What's the power? It's divine power. What favor? You have to favor the divine. You have to favor God. You have to believe in God. So it all points back to the right hemisphere of the brain. Okay, now the right hemisphere is also connection. Okay, so when you connect with people, it's a right hemisphere function. When you connect to God or whoever you think your creator is, you are accessing the right hemisphere of your brain. Now, logic on the left, right, is for mathematics. It's for formulas. It's for logic. It's for logical processes. Okay, those things, for systems, that kind of thing. The thought you keep thinking. Okay, so if, for example, if you see the same commercial over and over, I was in broadcasting for 40 years. Okay. It takes 2 weeks of commercials, radio or television, for someone to buy. Okay, you don't run the commercial one day and people start buying. It doesn't work like that. It takes 2 weeks. Why? Some people call it brainwashing. Some people call it influence. But it's the human being, okay? Because they have to get you thinking about it. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. As you keep thinking about it, what happens? It becomes a belief, okay? And if the commercial is telling you that you need this thing, whatever it is, right? It takes 2 weeks. So most advertisers buy for a couple months because it takes 2 weeks to get familiar. Then it starts selling, okay? Then they can get more people in, okay? But of course, people come in waves, right? It's not the same audience every day. But that's the way it works. There's science behind that. So when a radio station or a television station or a social media outlet or whatever it is, news outlet, news media, all of that, look what happened during the pandemic. That's called mass formation psychosis. Mass formation psychosis is when it works on a huge number of people. And that was worldwide, okay? Now, if they can do that on a worldwide level or in that kind of mass, think about how susceptible human beings are. They're very susceptible. How does this affect your manifestation? Oh, it affects it totally. Why? Because of doubt and fear. So if someone or something or some entity or some business or some politician or some whatever it is can make you afraid, all it does is here's your life path like this, okay? And your life path unfolds like this. It unfolds. Life doesn't happen to you like this. If you think life happens to you like this, you're suffering from, victim mentality, okay? Because this is like, oh, everything happens to me, okay? Your life path unfolds like this from within. The kingdom is within. Jesus Christ told you that the kingdom is within. So it's unfolding like this. And when something projects doubt onto you or fear onto you, okay, first of all, it slows down. It slows down. Why? Because now you're doubting. Now you're thinking fearful thoughts. Okay, so now you proceed cautiously. Okay? But it also takes you from your life path and kind of pushes you a little bit like this. And this is why if you can keep someone in fear, you can control them. If you can keep them in doubt, you can control them. Why? Because you've emotionally, mentally, are keeping them hostage, basically, because you're projecting all these things onto them. This is why narcissists, I get tons of women that have been through narcissistic relationships and marriages. Why is that? Well, because they get mistreated, but and we all have narcissism in us. Okay, every single human being. But the human being that has a lot of narcissism in them, okay, with no empathy, that's the key, no empathy. They do a lot of damage to people because they don't have empathy, because nothing is ever their fault, because they're not responsible for anything. And everyone else, right, owes them attention and, all of these things. So I'm not here to go on about narcissism, but I'm just saying, I get a lot of people like that. I get a lot of people recovering from a narcissist. And it's brutal. It's very abusive. And in that situation, what helps? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. The vocalization pulls them out pretty quickly in about 3 months. That's 12 sessions of vocalization. We do it for 1 hour. But when you're subject to that kind of abuse, what happens? Your life path slows down. Why? Because you think everything's your fault, because you think something's wrong with you, because you think it's you're the problem, even when it's not. And this is what victims of narcissism end up thinking, end up believing. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. If you keep thinking these thoughts, you believe it. Now, what happens? Your self-esteem goes down, okay? The way you see yourself becomes negative. You start blaming yourself, right? Because this relationship isn't working, And of course, the narcissist will turn it all on you, project it on you, and now you believe it's you, even when it's not. So when these things happen, right? Life path slows down. Life path moves over here a little bit. It doesn't stop. You keep going, but it pushes you off your path. What is your path? Your purpose. Why you are here. Your natural purpose of why you're here. Everyone has a purpose. Not everyone finds it. Some people sleep through life. And they sleep through life because of subconscious activity. Because your subconscious is 95% of your life, and it will keep going according to the beliefs you put in it. Now, if you're believing a lot of negative things, right, you end up having a lot of negative beliefs. let's take a look at the subconscious tree. So the roots of the tree are your core beliefs, what you believe to be true. Most of those things are established or, let's say constructed between when you were born and 7 years old. Most people, the majority of people, don't change all of these things. So what happens? Well, whatever you believe based upon what happened between when you were born and 7 years old, continue into adulthood. This is why if a child, grows up in a very turbulent relationship or a very turbulent environment when they are very young, it affects them for the rest of their lives. Okay? The trunk of the tree, these beliefs form the trunk of the tree or your paradigm. Okay, so your paradigm is how you see the world, your worldview. Okay? It's your attitude. It's the kind of attitude you have towards the world or towards things out here in the physical world. Okay? This determines what your actions will be. The fruits of the tree are your actions, and your actions determine the results. So if you want to really change something, let's say you want to change a certain thing about your life, and you want that thing to keep going. Let's say it's making money. Let's say it's being kinder. Let's say it's being more generous. Let's say it's having a better relationship. Okay? Then all you need to do is change the belief, because you don't know everything you believe until it happens, until something happens. Then you act upon it, and then you go, oh, yeah, I feel that way about it, right? And then you can change it. What do you do when your children are narcissistic? First of all, you should take them to get an assessment from a professional. That would be the first step. That would be the first step, because we are raising a generation of children that are narcissistic, or let's say more prone to narcissism, because of isolation. Isolation is these things. Isolation is, tablets, computers, that kind of thing. Okay? Because what they see, okay, they see immediate gratification. Okay, I'll speak on this for a little while for you. Okay, so instant gratification. They see people with all kinds of stuff, right? And they think it happens overnight. I can't tell you how many clients I have that are in their 40s, okay? Their late 30s and 40s, that think that, oh, if they do a couple of sessions with me, boom, they're going to be good. No, it takes about 12 sessions to get somebody really good. But this is, they think this way with a lot of things. Well, I graduated college, I have my degree, now I'm out in the workforce, I should be CEO next month. Life doesn't work that way. Okay, but since they are being, raised in that kind of environment where they think immediate gratification happens overnight, a lot of them end up in therapy because they can't deal with the reality of life. They can't deal with the reality that, well, you have to work at this, you have to perfect this, you have to, this takes years, not days or months. If you want to be the CEO, you have to go through a certain, right? You have to go through a certain path. You have to go down a certain path. So life is not that way. And because life is not that way, there is a lot of children that end up narcissistic. Okay? They can pass judgment on a cell phone, whereas in the old days, if they passed judgment in person, they could get hit. They could end up in an altercation. But those consequences are very seldom. So they become narcissistic. So a lot of these things amplify the narcissism that is already in all of us. Okay? This happens with adults too. It's not just children. I'm just responding to the comment. We have a chat going on over here. But the right side is important. Okay, we're talking about the right hemisphere of the brain today and how The Bible always points to the right side and why it points to the right side. Okay, because it's important. Creativity is important. Why? So you can manifest what you want. You can create what it is you can create something to bring you what it is you want. When I put my name in Google or whatever, any browser or AI, it shows me all of the things I've done. And I'm like, wow, I was fantasizing about that when I was 12. And in a way, right, I look at it and I go, oh man, because I was sitting there in the valley by myself in nature, daydreaming and fantasizing about everything that you see online about me. And I was just, and all I do is live my dreams. When I've accomplished it, okay, next, do the next thing. But I've been a teacher for 37 years. That's been the only thing that's been current, is my teaching. And then on the side, I had multiple careers, and on the side, I did all these other things. But I'm not here to flex. I'm here to say, you can do it too. Okay? And I hear people with concerns like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that, Uncle? How do I do this, Uncle? I don't want to say it's easy, because you do have to put some effort into it, okay? For me, it was easier. The only difficult part for me was the people that I had to be around, the people that I had to deal with, the people that I had to work with. Those things were challenges. Okay, because I faced a lot of discrimination, a lot of negativity, a lot of jealousy. Okay, in entertainment, they call it professional jealousy. In business, they just call it jealousy. I mean, you block people out. I mean, it's business. They do that in business. Okay, you do certain things. Hey, Manuel. Hi, Manuel. Good morning. They do certain things in business to protect their interests. If you start looking at life as a business, it's easier to understand. It's easier to accept. Okay? In business, there's competition. And what do? You do things to limit the advances of competition. Now, especially when somebody sees you as competition, even on the personal level, they will push you out. They will do their best to push you out. But this is why the right hemisphere of the brain. This is why you don't focus on the left. Okay? This is what I did. Okay? I focused on the spirit in here. And this spirit in here is connected to God, the right hemisphere of the brain. When you do that, okay, and this is why Jesus Christ says, for you Christians, nice reminder here, Jesus Christ said, seek first the kingdom. The kingdom is within. God lives in here. God lives in you. Seek first the kingdom, and all else will be added unto you. You cannot fail. You may be pushed over here, then you're pushed over here, then you go through a challenging time over here, then you get pushed over here. But you know what? It keeps coming. It keeps sustaining you. Why? Because you're focused on God or spirit or source, however you believe, or infinite intelligence, however you believe. We're all the same in here. We're all the same in here. Yes, you have different religions. Yes, you have spirituality. You have different practices, but we're all the same in here. We are one awareness. Any way you slice it, doesn't matter. And every human being has the same amount of potential. Okay? So I know stupid people that are rich. I know, people that you would call losers, they have a lot of money. Why? Because they focus on certain things. Okay? Your own family has a form of professional jealousy. I've witnessed families torn apart. Yeah, families do that. Families have personal jealousy. Jeez, that exists in my family. When you start to let's say, get ahead or achieve whatever, okay? You're going to get weird responses from everybody, from your family, from outsider. It doesn't matter who. Yeah, you're right, user. You're going to have that. But this is why you focus in here. This is why you focus in the kingdom, because it supersedes everything. I'll give you an idea, okay? I had been pushed. I used to work in radio. I did radio for 40 years, okay? I was pushed on the side, left out purposely, pushed on the side, okay? But I focused in here. And one day I was asked to fill in on a radio show, second largest radio show in Hawaii. Very, very popular show. Second most popular show, okay? The most popular show was more older people, more credibility oriented. This one was entertainment. And I got to, I was asked to sit in for a week. On the third day, the doors started to open. Well, let's say on the third day, I started to get intuitive messages that the door was opening. And the message was, you better sing for your life. I brought my guitar or whatever. There's a, if you go on my podcast, we have the complete story. But the point of me mentioning this is, do you think it was divine intervention? Do you think it was the superconscious? Okay, because there's a conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. In the subconscious, in my subconscious, I believed that this was coming. And there were so many times that people offered me this, they offered me that. But the reason they offered it to me is so I would do something for them. Because I had my own companies, right? So we do a favor here, do a favor, and then nothing happens. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Do this live allowed us to go on stage. You mean to speak with me here? So these things happened, right? People would use me like that all the time, and I knew, of course, you're being used when you're being used. I mean, I'm not stupid, okay? But I went along, and I went along, and I went along, nothing, like that, okay? And these were huge people. These were big entities. These were people that, I kind of looked at, I kind of laughed, because I was like, why would they do this? They have this, high stature or high status or whatever. Like, why would they do this? They have no interest in playing with somebody so small like me, right? Because nobody knew about me in those days. And then all of a sudden, this guy falls, ill, and I sit in for him for a week, and then boom. And for the next 15 years, okay, I sat in. Part-time, fill in, okay? And at that point, going in and, whatever happened, all this popularity and whatever, it allowed me to build more companies. So I have 4 companies. You can see it online. Just search Voicemaster Enterprises family of service companies. We're all online. And the work history for all of our companies are there. Okay, but this is not a flex. I'm saying you can do this too, but I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to tell you is, when you seek the kingdom first, it happened from in here. Okay? The guy that invited me on his show to sit in wasn't doing me a favor, trust me. Yeah, he did not think that would happen. And if he did, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have invited me. Okay? But this is the spirit over man-made. This is God-made over man-made. Okay? So entities are man-made. Radio shows, TV shows, whatever it is, are man-made. Jobs are man-made. Corporations are man-made. Me, myself, and I. There you go, Hercules. Yeah, good morning. Welcome. Okay, so these entities, okay? People start believing in the entities. Don't believe in the entities. Believe in God-made in here. Okay? Because sometimes you think there's no hope. Sometimes you think there's no sense. No sense in pursuing this. No sense of, well, let's just quit. Right? Wrong. I didn't quit, which was the only reason. If I had quit, I was making $5 an hour in radio in the early days. Okay, it was a struggle. Why was I struggling? Well, because I didn't know what I knew when I started to learn all these things. I had an idea, but I didn't put it into practice. Affirmation, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay? But when this happened, it showed me, right? God was showing me, hey, look, here you go. And I was like, wow. Like, I was amazed. I was shocked. On the third day that I was sitting in and people were calling in and, oh, can you play for my daughter's wedding? Can you do my baby party? And, all these things. And then another business popped up. It was called the Kekuewa Jr. Roadshow. You can look on Facebook and Instagram. Everything we did is on there. For years, I was forced to create that company. I was forced to create that business. I was forced to go buy a sound system. I was forced to go put a show together. I was forced to do all those things. What you believe you create, believe and you create your own entity, nothing more powerful than you. Yep, that's what I've been saying. Yeah, welcome, Yose. Good morning. So then I had to create this business to accommodate the need. I didn't create the need. Normally you create the need and fill it. That's the formula. Okay, this was accidental. Well, I can't say it's accidental, right? God gave me this business. God goes, here you go. There you go. And I'm here to say you can do it too. So we created it from a Nissan Maxima throwing speakers in the back seat and doing that kind of thing to a full-on production. Okay? And I had a producer for years and years, and he was one of the key components that kept the show popular, because he did all of our PR. He stayed after I went home. He stayed. He made friends with the clients. So he was a very integral part of our company. But like I said, the how is God's job. God will show you how. God will create the how. Okay. Can you talk about the superconscious? Sure. So there's the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. The superconscious represents God or the divine or Jesus Christ or Allah, however you believe. Human beings are the same in here. We're all the same. Okay? We are all one awareness. When you read in the Bible where it says we are all one, that's what they're talking about. We are all one awareness. We share awareness. Okay? But our perceptions are different. And this is why when you have a good public speaker or whatever, right? Their job is to bring us in to a similar understanding. Because everyone's perception is different. Why is it different? It's different based upon what you believe in your subconscious. Okay, some people believe one way. If you have 5 people in the audience, okay, and you're going to have 5 perceptions. Those perceptions are formed by beliefs in those individuals' subconscious. Okay, and this is why I say if you're praying for something and your prayers are not getting answered, it's because of your subconscious. You need to rewrite your subconscious first. But the superconscious amplifies or works with or acts upon what's in your subconscious. So let's say the objective is new car. I always use that. Let's say it's new car. Your conscious mind goes, okay, we're going to get a new car. So you put it into your subconscious. I am so happy and grateful now that I have a new car. Thank you. Or I am so happy and grateful now that I am. It's a double I am. Okay. It's more powerful. I am so happy and grateful now that I am driving my new car. Thank you. Now you write it, and in about 2 weeks, you start to feel the shift Okay, you start to feel that the new car is possible. After 66 days writing this, it becomes a program or a belief in your subconscious. So now the superconscious can work off of this. Because what happens is the subconscious starts looking for ways to achieve this because there's a belief there. And it will look for ways to go, oh, okay, well, maybe you should save money. Oh, maybe you should go down and test drive. Maybe you should get a side hustle and get more money. Maybe, right? It will give you avenues. It will try to make it happen. So what happened? Yeah, that's right, Yosei. Yep. Yes, meditation is part of my program. Yes, yes, you need to be happy. Yeah, I am, not I'm. You have to write I am, not I am. So now the subconscious works off of the superconscious works off of the subconscious. And this is why in the Bible it says God knows your heart. Superconscious is God. Okay, this is another way for saying God. Some people don't like God. Some people don't believe in, God the way religion has preached God. So they say source, they say infinite intelligence, they say energy, whatever. Okay? But whatever that is, it works the same way in all humans. But that works off of what's in your subconscious, your beliefs. And now it starts opening doors as you take the steps towards your goal. It starts bringing the right people in. You know, when you meet the right people and you get to your goal and you go, wow, yeah, I met the right people. All of a sudden, coincidence, right? Wrong. It's superconscious. Okay. So the superconscious represents the divine or the universe or source or God or Jesus Christ or Allah, however you believe. However you believe. Now, if you don't believe in God, okay, then you just have the conscious and subconscious. Can kind of meditation, is it the type where you try to manifest, or it's the kind that you do manifest? Yes. It's a part of manifestation. Exactly. So the subconscious, if you don't believe in God, okay, then there's no superconscious. Then there's just conscious and subconscious, but you're the same in here as everybody else. Okay? So the process is the same. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. It's the same. Ask, believe, receive. It's the same formula. So you find it in the Bible, for you Christians, Mark 11:24. Okay? You find it in the Bible. Ask, believe, receive. When you ask, okay, and it goes in, this is conscious mind. When you ask in the conscious mind, and it goes into the subconscious as a belief in repetition, that's how it does it, repetition with emotion. Okay? So when you put an intention mixed with emotion and you imprint it, it will imprint in the subconscious. When you do that, and it's in the subconscious as a belief, when you've done it enough, it becomes a belief. Then what? Ask, believe. What's the third step? Receive. But who's involved in the receiving? I'm talking about the process. I'm talking about the journey. I'm talking about how you get there. That's the superconscious. Okay, there you go. Have you tried Buddhist meditation where you observe your thoughts? You always observe your thoughts. It doesn't have to be Buddhist or Christian or Indian or, yeah. So between subconscious mind and superconscious, which make this happen, the subconscious and superconscious working together. The superconscious affects whatever is in your subconscious. So your subconscious is what you believe, the things that you believe to be true. Okay, user says, thank you. You've guided my awareness towards God, superconscious. This awareness is 100% now. Good, good. It's important to be aware. And the reason why it's important to be aware is because in society, you have television, you have movies, you have things that direct your imagination. You have things that direct your thoughts. You have things that direct your beliefs. And this is what we talk about when you know, are under societal hypnosis. You walk around in this dream world. Why? Because you have a series of beliefs that may or may not be conducive to a good life for you. And you need to get pulled out of it, and you need to get clear. And when you are clear, we say clarity just gives way to who you are. It makes way for the real you and things to come out. Okay, so in other words, when you get rid of doubt, fear, anxiety, all of those things, the negative emotions, then you are underneath all of that. It's just piled up on top of you. And when you get rid of that, okay, let me see. I have some questions. So between subconscious mind and superconscious, okay, I got that. Okay, good. But in Buddhism, okay, so the points you're making, okay, you're a human being, whether you believe in Buddhism, Taoism, whether you believe in Christianity, it doesn't matter, okay? There's one formula for manifestation. Now, if you want to practice the Buddhist method, if you want to, it's still the same. It's ask, believe, receive. Okay, so you're going in circles with this. Yeah, you're going in circles. And the vocalization process will pull you out no matter who you are. If you're a human being, it will pull you out of this hypnosis. Okay, and this is the right side of the brain. Okay, it's important for you to connect with the right side. Okay, so the thinking that you're talking about with Buddhism and all of that, and observing your thoughts and all of that, okay, it's important to become the observer. You cannot become the observer if you're reactionary, if you have become reactionary through your subconscious. Your subconscious makes you reactionary. Okay, why? Because you learned that action in repetition. So after you've reacted to a few things, your subconscious goes, oh, we're reactionary? Okay, we're reactive. And then you start reacting. And then you start getting triggered from these things. When you're easily triggered from something, it's because your subconscious has memorized that activity. And now you become reactive. You become triggered. You become, upset or angry. And these negative emotions are, what's going to determine your outlook on life or your paradigm, okay? Because it's the subconscious, then the paradigm, the trunk of the tree, then your fruits, your actions based upon what you believe, and those will give you results. So in order to become the observer, you have to be independent of your thoughts. And the way you become independent of your thoughts, I mean, we give people the vocalization exercise and we pull them back into the moment. We talked about that yesterday, so I didn't talk about it too much today. Okay, but what happens is you can observe the thought, allow it to pass. Okay, so you can choose your thoughts. Okay, you can allow it to pass, and then you don't get affected by the emotions that belong to the thought. So if you think a bad thought, right, you're going to feel bad. You're going to get that emotion that follows the thought. If you are independent of the thought, which is what our vocalization process does for people, okay, then you can observe the thought passing like a cloud and just let it go. And then you also skip the emotion attached to it. And then you let that go. Okay. So it's very important to do the vocalization exercise. And that's what changes people's lives. If you want to go to our Google page with the reviews, we only get 5-star reviews. It's Here For You Life Coaching, Honolulu, Hawaii. Okay. You can read the reviews. The reviews are pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And I'm very flattered. I'm not here to flex. I'm just saying that's what this does. Okay, so if you want the results, if you want proof, so to speak, then go there. If you want to do it, yourself, you can do it yourself. Okay, so the ask, believe, receive process works no matter who you are, no matter what religion you follow, no matter what you do, okay, it works the same in all human beings. Where the ball? Where the ball? I don't understand that question. Yeah, yayas? Let yeah, maybe write out the question for me. So anyway, okay, ask, believe, receive. Belief is the key part because you will receive things based upon what you believe. If you believe that you can receive anything, then if you're open, okay, there's a better chance of bringing the things that you want into your life. How to recover ADHD, 11 years. Boy, what are the exercise or suitable things for that? Breathing exercises are good for ADHD. Okay, I have a good breathing exercise. Message me and I'll give you the breathing exercise. I'll also give you the vocalization exercise and things that you can do for that. Yeah, ADHD. I have ADHD and I have to do it too, but I do it with my clients, so it keeps me in check. Okay, so tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. we do it again. We do 7 platforms at 7 a.m. Sometimes I mention our platforms and sometimes I don't. Maybe this will be one time. So we're on YouTube, we're on Trovo, we're on Twitch, we're on 2 Facebook pages live right now. We're on TikTok over here. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Just message me and I'll give you the exercises. In fact, I'll give you our YouTube video so you can do that. Yeah, it's about disassociation with the thoughts. Buddhism is an extensive religion. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I like the concepts in Buddhism. And we use some of them, as a matter of fact. You're very welcome. Sunshine this whole hour. Yay. Okay, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 a.m. I have to go. I have clients today all day. So